Yeah, sometimes we don't even know. I mean, um, inaccurate attribution is one of the things that the human mind runs into a lot. Where we believe that it's caused by one thing. Like, I believe that the reason why I got a hard opening is because I didn't double stow all my suspension lines. And then you look at the semi-stowless bags that only have like 2 rubber bands in most cases, and that doesn't open hard. So, this is inaccurate attribution. So the scientific mind has to have, I call it grace, the not knowing. Just being okay with not knowing, not being so certain, to have, that certainly can lead to prejudice. Prejudice based on expectation.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, the grace comes in when the judgment is released. When I'm not going to just go, it's this, and I'm just going into habit mode with my mind. About anything. This seems to apply to everything in my life, where I'm absolutely certain that guy, because of the way he looks, is going to be a certain way. Or the reason why that guy cut me off on the road, bastard, I get mad at him instantly. And I stop myself and I don't know anything about that guy. He could be rushing to the hospital because his wife is having a baby. I have no idea. And so my judgment has to be a little bit blind in order to do what it does. I need to sort of step back from it. And that's what I call the technology of grace. To be able to just not be so damn certain about everything and not wield that sledgehammer of judgment so quickly, so that we can have enough freedom within our minds, enough latitude and scope to say, well, but what else could it be? What if it's not that? What if it's something else that's causing that? And I'm in a delusion.
Just about everybody you meet is fighting a battle you know absolutely nothing about.
Yep. Yeah, they're on their own trip. Yeah, and I mean, it's the same things that we see in the world. We see on the drop zone in our little microcosm. Yeah, we have a lot to offer, because we're actually trying to get along on the drop zone. We're actually trying to cooperate and reach for understanding. And okay, so you're a wingsuiter. I'm not going to judge you. You do what you do. I love you because you're a skydiver. You do things differently. You're a freestylist and you go dance around in the sky with a camera guy chasing. I love all you guys. We don't have to be the same in order for us to have that camaraderie around the campfire or whatever, in the packing area. It'd be nice if the whole world operated that way. Took a lesson out of our book.
One of the amazing things about skydiving is the vast difference in social economic background that come together on a drop zone. And nobody cares very much what you do on the private side as long as you leave the door on time.
Yep. Yeah.
Get in the formation and do what you're supposed to do.
Yep. Yeah. How you do it is, there's a lot of creative freedom in how you pack or what kind of skydive you do.
You're there doing it with people who range from the janitor for the school down the street to retired generals from the military and politicians.
Lots of them. Yep. That's true. Very, very true. Yeah. There's
people who wouldn't interact in any other aspect of their lives.
Nope, you wouldn't give them the time of day. Yep. Just walk on past them. We have this common bond, this common connection that isn't just skydiving. It's the type of person that would skydive. Also, you can find other commonalities that are really beautiful attributes, in my perspective. The kind of person that says yes. Yes to risk because of value. Yes to a social connection with this club of people that is quite diverse, but at the same time very, very connected. I love skydivers, man. I always will. They're great people, and it also makes us deeper as people. to actually interact with and connect with, have a conversation with people that are on a different trip. You know, they might actually have very different socio-political views. You know, their life, their job, and so we can learn. You know, you sitting next to the plumber, and he teaches you something about plumbing. You know, and he might not have done that to the guy next to him on the bus, but because you're a skydiver, you're part of the club. You know, I was talking to a urologist in my course this weekend, and he was giving me tips on, you know, if I get a vasectomy, what's involved in that. For real, you know, so like this is awesome, and we have to sort of, you know, grab onto that and utilize it, and not just use it for gathering knowledge and creating connection, but we can exchange services. You know, my car's not running right. And, you know, if you put that out there on the drop zone, I guarantee there's going to be 3 or 4 people that, oh, yeah, that's your whatever. And you got to try this, replace this part or whatever. And they'll help you.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Especially at a decent sized drop zone, there's probably somebody on the DZ that can help you solve the problems that you're frustrated with in life. I think that's what the world was supposed to be before we compartmentalized into our tiny little boxes in our houses with our even tinier little screens, and we become disconnected. Yeah, how cool is that? We have a tribe.
Yeah, the greater world has moved away from the tribe, small community mindset very much.
I think we crave it, though. I think everybody does. I think it's in our DNA. It's in our fundamental wiring to do that stuff. And that's why you do see, you know, church groups, and you see clubs that, you know, they're into bowling or whatever it is that they're into. They have an excuse to get together and expand their connection, you know, wider and deeper into these, you know, real people. They're real people. They might walk past you on the street, and you'd be like, yeah, it's just some dude, and you judge him based on how the way he's dressed or whatever. But every single one of them is, you know, is a real human being with a lot more depth of knowledge and wisdom than you could ever grasp. And it's this is a start. Skydiving world is certainly a start, but we got something to teach as a result of the path that we've walked. So I think we need to share that part of it. You know, when we're talking about the skydiving to the woofos at the office or whatever. To also talk about how awesome it is to have such a large group of friends, and how wild it is to be accepted by people that you never would have been accepted by, you know, because you don't make enough money, so you can't hang out with the rich guys or whatever. And you do have some clique behavior on the drop zones as well, but I think in the end it's all just brief and surface. And if you ignore those assumptions, then, you know, then it just kind of goes away. I had somebody ask me about that recently on Sunday. She hasn't been to the drop zone in a long time. She doesn't really jump anymore. She's a master rigger and a packer. Sometimes she packs mains, but mostly reserves. And she said, what do you do when you go to the drop zone? Everything's changed, and you don't feel like you even belong anymore. That you feel like it's changed enough, the faces have changed, the culture's changed enough that you just feel disconnected. I said, well, are you actually disconnected, or are you just judging it that way? You know, are you the one that's stepping away from the conversations, or you're choosing to push through your discomfort of not knowing anybody? Like when you go to a new drop zone, you don't know anybody. So when they're circled up bullshitting, you stand on the perimeter of that circle and try to follow the conversation and include yourself. And then that illusory boundary between you and that quote clique goes away. And then you realize it wasn't really a clique. They just happen to be wearing similar clothing, and they do, you know, similar skydives or whatever, but they're all just people, and they're not going to say, go away. You know, this is a private conversation. That doesn't happen on the drop zone. And so to recognize that we do have these programs in our minds about ostracization, you know, and that uncomfortableness of not knowing a social crowd, but it's just an illusion. And if you want to learn more in this sport, you got to be a little bold and not worry about that stuff and just, show up and be the quiet one in the back for a little while until you find a place where you can, add to the conversation. And they're like, hey, we're going out to dinner. You want to go? You're in. It always works out. For the kind of person who says, their sort of ongoing mental story is it always works out. Right? That's the magic. You don't even realize you're doing it, but you're expecting that it's going to be easy. It's going to be fun. These people are like me. And that's exactly what you experience. And you show up thinking, oh, yeah, these guys don't know me. And you keep your head down and you pack your parachute and you do solos or whatever, and you don't interact with people. And that's your experience.
Mm-hmm.
Neither one of you was right. Neither one of you was wrong. You made it what it was.